Okay, Merrick, it's your live.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Perth East Council this 21st day of June. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please bow their heads for a moment of reflection. Thank you. Before we get into the agenda, I'd like to welcome Puni tonight to our council meeting, and welcome to Perth East and to County Council, and I'm not sure if you want to say a few words before we get going. You're welcome to.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting all of you soon.
Great, thank you. Okay, we need a motion to confirm the agenda. Does anyone have anything they want to add to the agenda? If not, we have a motion that the agenda as prepared for June 21st, 2022 meeting of council of the Township of Perth East be approved as received. Moved by Amanda, second by Carol. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose it now or as the meeting moves along. We have 11 items on our consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like pulled or have questions on? Hugh?
Just on 5.18, there was things from AMO about the Blue Box program. Has Perth East decided what they will do with the Blue Box program yet?
Eric?
Yes, Deputy Mayor McDermott. We did receive correspondence from Blue Water Recycling, and they said that their operations are already in accordance with this new Blue Box program. So it's pretty much going to be business as usual from my understanding, and that they've already got it covered from Blue Water.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Jerry? You're muted, Jerry. We can't hear you. Nothing? Okay. All right. So then we have a motion that items number 5.1.1 to 5.1.11 is set out on the consent agenda for the 21st of June 2022 regular meeting of council be received for information. Moved by Jeremy, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have no delegations. We have no public meetings. We do have 3 public hearings. So we'll move into the first one. Council will now temporarily adjourn to sit as Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act. I now declare this virtual public hearing open. This virtual public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Jason and Caroline Fry and described as Concession 14, Lot 14, Mornington Ward, 8182, Perth Line 86. The purpose of this hearing is to give the committee and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the proposed application and receive their input, and for the committee to make a decision on the application. All persons attending this hearing will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. Committee members may ask questions for the purposes of clarifying the application, but are asked to withhold comments on this application until all present have been given an opportunity to be heard. Due to COVID-19, public hearing procedures have been adjusted to adhere to provincial guidelines for holding electronic meetings. Any person who wished to be heard regarding this matter was asked to register prior to this meeting by the deadline of Monday, June 20th, 2022 at 12 noon with the municipal clerk. Any person who wishes to receive written notice of the decision made by the Committee of Adjustment is asked to email their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer following this hearing. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the decision made at this hearing may be filed with the Secretary Treasurer not later than June 11, 2022. No written notice except as previously noted will be given unless requested at this time. I will now call on Planner Puni to present the planner report and recommendations. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
That is excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I appreciate your time. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Nope.
Oh, sorry. How about now?
Yes, we can.
Very good. So tonight I'm presenting a minor variance application for Jason and Caroline Fry located at 8182 line 8886 Mornington Ward. The subject land has an area of 34.2 hectares and is located within the Morning Ward. It is designated agriculture as per the official plan, which supports construction of buildings that are integral in running a farm business such as silos. The site is also zoned as agriculture under the zoning bylaw, which allows for addition of structures and buildings accessory to the permitted use, which farm use is a permitted use under that bylaw. Now, the applicant proposes to construct a drive silo in addition to the other two they have currently on the property, thereby seeking relief from the minimum side yard setback requirement of the zoning bylaw. The request is for reduction from 30 meters to 24.4 meters. The zoning bylaw allows the silo to be placed on the lot. As mentioned earlier, under the zoning bylaw, the proposed reduction of the side yard setback suits the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The other silo supports the applicant's agricultural activity and more broadly fosters economic growth within the community. The minor variance application conforms to the provincial policy statement, official plan, and suits the general intent of the zoning bylaw, and therefore planning recommends approval of this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in opposition. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant or the applicant's agent did not register to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application. Are there any questions from committee members? Could you please put my screen back so I can see everybody?
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. You have a question?
Just on the on page 49, there was correspondence from somebody asking about the parking, and I just didn't quite understand what the person was questioning about putting the silo where it was.
Sorry, so the question is regarding the parking spot?
Yeah, like on page 49 of our report, there's a correspondence. A lady questioned the parking from February the 25th, 22. They sent in a question about parking, and I couldn't quite understand what that correspondence would be about.
All right, I can definitely take a look if that's okay and get back to the committee, because this, from my understanding, this will not affect parking spot. It's simply in the middle of two silos that are currently existing. It will just be in the middle of those two silos, but I can definitely look into it if that's okay.
Yep, that would be fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Seeing no questions, the committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. And the motion that I have is the Council of Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment received a report dated June 21, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance D13-A16-2021-PE, submitted by Jason and Carolyn Fry, affecting lands described as Lot 14, Concession 14, Mornington Ward, 8182, line 86 for information. And that the committee approved minor variance D13-A16-2021-PE affecting lands as described above with the following condition. Number one, that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. I have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Hugh, second by Jerry. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, the second minor variance that we have. Or I'm sorry, this public meeting is here This public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by WMJ Geese Construction, described as Lot 33, Plan 44M-80, Milverton Ward. And the preamble is pretty much all the same. I'm not going to read it all. We're going to skip down now to, I will now call on Planner Pooney to present the planning report and recommendations. So the floor is yours, Pooney.
Thank you. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen again.
Sure.
Sorry, can you see my presentation?
Yes, you can.
All right. As you mentioned, the minor variance application is for WMJ Geese Construction Limited, and the subject land has an area of 354.7 square meters and is located in Milverton. It is registered as residential on the official plan. It is also zoned as residential low density or R1 as per the Township of Perth East zoning bylaw. Now, the applicant proposes to construct a semi-detached dwelling on the property and is requesting relief from the maximum lot coverage requirement under the Perth East zoning bylaw. The request is for an increase from 40% lot coverage to 48% lot coverage. As per the condition of the notice of decision on application for approval of draft plan of subdivision / condominium dated November 5th, 2020, semi-detached dwelling is a permitted use on lot 33. The proposed variance is suitable for this development and is aligned with the overall design of this subdivision. The minor variance conforms to the provincial policy statement, official plan, and suits the general intent of the zoning bylaw, and therefore planning recommends approval of this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have Doug Biesinger, a neighbor who's registered to make a presentation or speak in opposition. Mr. Biesinger, would you like to say anything?
I do not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I believe Eric received some questions in regards to this application. So Eric, I'll let you ask the questions.
Yes, thank you. So for the committee's information, received a last minute correspondence in opposition. So I will read and quote the email. It's from Diane Lara. I believe she's at 77 Reagan Street. I have some concerns with these houses being built behind my house. You are effectively now increasing the amount of people that my house will be backing onto, the amount of people that my backyard will back onto, and jeopardizing the value of my house. Why is the developer asking for a variance? I thought all of these lots were sold. Should it not be the builders requesting variances? Can you build the houses backing to the farmland? And that's the correspondence.
Okay. Your response, Tony, at this time?
I can go back to the picture and show you where the lot is exactly placed, if you like, and we can discuss it a little bit that way. Just a second, I'll share my screen again.
Okay, that would help.
Yeah. All right. So here, this is going to be the lot. Sorry, it's going to be here. And so it's located, it's facing this way, really. And so I'm wondering, this resident, if they are currently living here or somewhere here, but on this side, this is to the west of the dwelling. And these are just new residential buildings again. And these are again, fronting this open, open land. There is no houses there. And also I am wondering what the resident is referring to. The reason behind it is only 8%. The coverage difference is 40 to 48%. And the use again has been, as per the, again, letter that I mentioned, 2020, they are allowed to legally build a semi-detached dwelling on that property, on that lot. So unfortunately, legally, what they're saying has no basis. And as for the variance that they are requesting, 8%, it is not a considerable difference on that property. They are saying that, there is going to be more residents. Well, that's again, legally, they are allowed to have more residents on that property. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant, Tracy Lesperance, Van Harten Surveying Inc., registered to answer questions with respect to the application. Are there any questions from committee members? Andrew?
Yes, thank you very much for the report. Just a quick question. Is there any other semis currently built in the surrounding area, like within the notification area? This proposed semi?
On the immediate vicinity, I'm not aware of, but because this is a new subdivision in Milverton, really. So it's, it is setting precedents in the area. So, but on this lot, there's going to be another, like a few other semi-detached dwellings that are now allowed to be built. And again, it's first of its kind, I would say.
Thank you.
I saw CBO Wes's hand up next. I'll let him answer. Maybe he can.
Yes, thank you, Mary. It's just down the street, actually, a few doors down. There are a number of semis just down the street there. So there are semis on that street.
Okay, thanks, Wes. Anyone else then with questions? Seeing no questions, the committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. And the motion that we have is the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment received the report dated June 21, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance D13-A09-2022-PE, submitted by William J. Geese Construction affecting lands described as Lot 33, Registered Plan 44M-80, Milverton Ward for information, and that the committee approved minor variance D13-A04-2022-PE, affecting lands as described above with the following condition. So the number changed on the variance from A09 to A04, is that correct?
Sorry, Mary, I guess it should be A09.
A09, okay, no, that's fine. I just noticed that as I read it. Okay, so it is D13-A09-2022-PE, and the condition is that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. Do we have a mover and a seconder for this motion? Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Andrew. Andrew's got a question.
Thank you. I appreciate the planning report and uniqueness of this situation. The way I'm looking at it is another 8% if this was, say, a single detached with a detached garage accessory building being put on it. That would be a fairly substantial covering of the lot. I think it's just a little bit too much in my opinion, and I don't want to see this type of development strategy be used anywhere in Perth East, so I'll be voting against this.
Jerry?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, good. So in regards to the entire portion, I believe this is phase 3. I'm not sure, Perdue, if you could pull up page 3 of your report, of your PowerPoint that showed the entire subdivision. Are you able to pull that one back up?
Sorry, I closed it. I'm going to open it once again.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, page 3, I think.
There.
So I don't know if you can zoom in. So the property in question, perfect. Lot 33.
Yeah.
So if you can see, if you look at, this is for everyone else's information, being a surveyor myself, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, those are all, I see the split lot line down the middle. So I understand those are all potentially proposed semis. If you go down to the right further, lot 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, and in regards to CBOS, that's where some of those are already built, or at least under construction. So this was already in the basic proposal when Mr. Geese came to us for this. I know we have a lot of information to read, but again, I'm reducing the lot size for a semi by increasing it by 8%. I don't have a concern over that at all. Again, those ones, as far as I understand, are going to be all semis with the split lot line. In regards to the second speaker, I believe she said she lived on Reagan Street. So that's in phase 2. You can probably see that, Purdue, if you scroll to Reagan Street, which is, so I'm not sure if, I can't recall which lot that person was on, but that's Reagan Street there. So there are a couple of houses that we did, that the planner did point out to us that are already built. Those are the ones that are backing on to the Reagan Street lot. So I'm not really sure about the concern that person had. So yeah, just some of my points. This has been planning for years, and I don't see any concerns with what's happening. If Geese does do the semis that are proposed in those other lots beside 33, he may come back for more minor variances. It would be nice if you could keep it all within our bylaw. But I have no concerns at all. So yeah, for sure I'll be supporting this. I don't know if you have any information to help me out, Wes, CBOS, and as far as what I talked about, the semis proposed with those dashed lines. I assume that's what those are for future, but so we may be seeing more of them too. Thank you.
Okay, if I could have my screen where I can see everyone again, thank you. Is there any more questions or concerns before we vote on this motion? If not, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, and our third one, this virtual public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Reuben Kipfer and described as concession 9, part of lot 5, Mornington Ward. And the preamble is all the same, so I'm going to skip right down to, we'll now call on Planner Cooney to present the planning report and recommendations. The floor is yours.
Thank you. With your permission, I'll again share my screen.
Sure.
All right. So yes, this is a presentation for minor variance application for Reuben Kepfer, located at 4688 line 76 Newton, Ontario. And the subject land has an area of approximately 40.8 hectares and is located within the Mornington ward. It is designated as agriculture under the official plan. It is also zoned as agriculture in the zoning bylaw, with a special zoning designation of A-106-T, which permits a mobile home on the lot for a period of maximum 3 years. Now, the applicant proposes to construct a permanent one-story single detached dwelling to replace a mobile home, therefore requesting relief from the following sections of the Perth East zoning bylaw. First one is the section pertaining to the front yard setback minimum requirement, which is 6.3.3.1. They're requesting for reduction from 30 meters to 20 meters. The second one is regarding the MDS. As per the OMAFRA guidelines and the Perth East zoning bylaw, the minimum distance separation calculations are required on this lot, and they are type 1. These are in place to make sure the building is least impacted by the livestock facilities nearby. They're also seeking relief from the section 6.4.2 MDS of the zoning bylaw for 3 sides. Easterly MDS from 245 meters to 195.2 meters. westerly MDS from 298 meters to 266.7 meters, and southerly MDS from 338 meters to 276.4 meters. The zoning bylaw allows for the single detached dwelling on the lot. The proposed reduction of the front yard setback and easterly, westerly, and southerly MDS suit the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. This development provides opportunity for permanent housing for the applicant while being appropriate in the land use context. The minor variance conforms to the provincial policy statement, official plan, and suits the general intent of the zoning bylaw, and therefore planning recommends approval of this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No one registered to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent. The applicant or the applicant agent did not register to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application. Are there any questions from committee members? Jerry?
Not a question, just what is the exact fire number? I noticed typically we get the new number, which has been in effect for quite a few years, but all I can see is it's lot 5, concession 9 in the report. Does it list the fire number somewhere?
I have part of lot 5, concession 9, Mornington Ward, and application number, which is A11-2022-PE. Is that what you're referring to? Or no?
I think Jerry's.
No. Go ahead, Eric.
Eric, do you have it?
Yes, we had to take the fire number out of this report. They do share a driveway with their neighbors. So the fire number is identifying the neighbor's address, but they share a driveway to their property. So that's why there is no fire number on this one. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's 3959. I'm not too sure.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you. Good reason for not being there then. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Seeing no questions, we do have a motion that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment received a report dated June 21, 2022, prepared by the planner entitled Minor Variance D13-A11-2022-PE, submitted by MTE OLS Doug Reum on behalf of Reuben Kipfer, affecting lands described as part of Lot 5, Concession 9, Mornington Ward, for information, and that the committee approved minor variance D13-A11-2022-PE, affecting lands described above with the following condition, and that is number 1, that the owners obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. We have a mover and a seconder for that motion, moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Excuse me. I declare this virtual public hearing closed. So we're back in council reports, and the first one is the planning. And we have an official plan amendment. Melissa, Sally's with us tonight. Okay, welcome, Sally. Good to see you.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, I guess, and members of council. Melissa was there until close of day, and then now she's on an airplane heading out for a well-deserved vacation. So I'm just going to fill in for her tonight and present to you her work on the official plan amendments 207 and 208. So I do have some slides that I'll put up for you to explain this official plan amendment 207. Are you able to see them there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now if I can get them to advance. There we go. Okay. So this is for Bowtech Industries. It's a 35 hectare, roughly 86 acre farm. And it has an agricultural operation there, including livestock and cropping. They also have a secondary farm occupation on this farm. And it's a welding shop, which is a permitted use. And what the subject matter then of the official plan amendment is to consider the scope of that welding shop. It is expanding. and it's proposed to expand beyond the scope that's currently provided for in the official plan and the zoning bylaw. So when that happens, we look to the provincial policy statement for some guidance on uses permitted in agriculture, prime agricultural areas, and how to evaluate whether or not the scope that's being proposed for this secondary farm occupation is something to consider for approval. So what the province offers is that on-farm diversified uses are permitted or can be permitted in prime agricultural lands like this. And they provide us some parameters to help us evaluate. And the main one being 2% of the lot area is one way to look at how big is too big for an on-farm diversified use, and when does it start to become less than secondary to the farm, because that's certainly the intent in our farmland, that these secondary uses are secondary in nature and remain that way. So what's being proposed here is that they would increase both the building and the yard space that they use for this welding business. The building would or the area would go from 451 meters to 750 meters, which is a fair bit below the 2% guidance offered by the province. 2% would be in the neighborhood of 1,300. So what they're looking to do is grow to 750 square meters. So for official plan amendments, as you know, county council is the approval authority, but what we want to do here is seek the opinions of Perth East Council. And there's going to be a public meeting on July 7th for this official plan amendment as well, held by county council. So, and I just want to double check here. I think, yes, this one, it's not only the scope of the area, it's also the employee. So what's provided for right now is 2 employees, and they want to go to a maximum of 5. So it's the area of the business and the number of employees. So you can see in the air photo here, there is a cluster of buildings, and the welding shop is within that cluster. I'll just show you a little bit more on the next page. From the road, it is kind of hard to see this operation. If I can get my cursor on the screen there. Oops. Did my slides go away on you there?
Yep, slide left when the cursor came.
Okay, here we go again. I'll put it back up. Can you see it there now?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll put it into slide form so you can see a little better. Oh. Okay, so on here you can, if you can follow my cursor here, there's the house and the agricultural buildings. They've got a barn and a covered storage here and a shed. And then the welding shop is back here.
Your cursor's not moving.
Oh, it's not moving. Okay. Can you see it there now?
There, yep.
Okay. All right. So the house is here. We've got the agricultural buildings here, barn, storage, and a shed. And then the welding shop is back here in this sort of blue rectangle with a yard and some parking for the employees, some space over here for them to come in and park out of the way of the farm operations. So what they're proposing is to increase the yard over here and increase the building here. So that gives you a little better idea of sort of what it would look like on the ground. And again, I'm here to present this to you, give you a sense of what's being proposed in this official plan amendment, and seek the opinions of Perth East Council to be shared with the county when they hold their public meeting and try to make a decision on this later in a couple of weeks on July 7th. So I'll give you back the screen here. Okay.
Okay, any questions from council? Jeremy?
Hey, Sally, thanks for that. So when the OPA recommendation goes through and is or is not approved, the other information that you've shown us here tonight surrounding, the expansion that they want to do, since it's a site-specific OPA, does that mean that it's binding that exact sort of footprint, or that those modifications or those construction to the building? Does that make that is binding when it's a site-specific OPA?
What the site-specific amendment would do is allow this, it will state that it's allowed up to a max of 750 square meters. So what it would do would be to permit secondary farm occupation on this lot that's up to 750 meters squared, but it wouldn't necessarily stipulate where on the lot. Like the zoning bylaw would do that, and it would be more prescriptive about how it expanded and where. And a zoning bylaw amendment will follow this official plan amendment. So this application for an expansion, or this expansion, is going to come back to Perth East actually for approval through the zoning bylaw. But in order to create that opportunity, it needs to be permitted by the official plan that they could they could increase the size of this to 750 meters. So it's specific to this lot, but not specific. It's not going, the official plan amendment is not going to say that it would be, you know, east or west of the existing building to 450 meters length, or it wouldn't be that specific. No.
Okay, any other questions? Jerry?
More so a comment on the business. I'm not against the expansion, but this is one of the potential ones, and again, it's up to the owner, but that could be moved or placed in I'd call it the Percon industrial park that we have just south of Milverton. This is one of the examples. We have so many of these around where I wish that piece would get moving. I know there's some holdups, but this is just an example of one of those businesses that could be moved into there. So at some point, I'm going to be asking for where that's at, but not tonight. So that's just a comment. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Seeing none, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report entitled Official Plan Amendment Number 207 by Baltech Industries affecting lands described as Concession 8 North Part Lot 18, Mornington Ward 7278, Road 116 for information, and that council endorse the official plan amendment 207 to the County of Perth official plan pertaining to the lands at Concession 8 North Part Lot 18, Mornington Ward 7278, Road 116. Do we have a mover and a second for that? Moved by Jerry. Second by Jeremy. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Okay, and the second official plan amendment is by Lena and Sydney Martin. Sally, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you, Mayor Ayetz. And again, with your permission, I'll share the screen for this one as well.
Sure.
All right, can you see those slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Great. All right, so this is official plan amendment 208. And again, it's a site-specific policy specific to this lot. And it actually looks like two lots in our GIS system, but they have merged on title, these two lots. So it's actually one parcel, legally one parcel. And it's roughly, it's just over 100 acres, just over 40 hectares. So there's a sawmill on this property, and you all may be familiar with it. There's been some contention around emissions from this particular sawmill, which sort of brings us to this official plan amendment. What they'd like to do here is expand the buildings to enclose the sawmill functions. And what it would also do through this amendment would be to sort of recognize the amount of space that the operation takes up, as well as not just the buildings, but the outdoor space used for the secondary farm occupation. So this is a look at the site, the aerial of the site here. And there's a farm use and an existing livestock operation and cropping as well. You can kind of see here how the GIS represents it here, but you can actually see it's cropped right through to the second lot there. or previous second lot. And the operation for sawmilling takes place sort of behind, from the road's perspective, behind the livestock operation. So similar to the one we looked at just before this, where the secondary farm occupation is sort of behind the farm buildings and the house. There is some staging areas here for logs. And then the sawmill operations happen in this little building here with the green roof, but there is some things occurring outside currently. So, and then there's outdoor storage here as well. So what they're proposing is to enclose, as I said, the sawmill functions, the sawdust that's created and everything would be enclosed. And in order to do that, the building itself and the outdoor storage, recognizing the outdoor storage, would exceed what we currently allow for secondary farm occupations. And again, we look to that PPS and the provincial guidance around like how big is too big for a farm, for the secondary farm businesses. And in the sort of the provincial world, they're referred to as on-farm diversified uses, but locally we still refer to them as secondary farm occupations in the zoning bylaw and in our official plan. So we look at that 2% again, that the province kind of gives us as a guide for evaluating these types of uses on prime agricultural lands. And this one, if they were to enclose the building, and then we would recognize the area of all of the outdoor storage for logs and for processed or milled wood, then they would be closer to 1.7% of the slot area. So it's bigger than the one we looked at previously, but it doesn't get us to the 2%. So from a provincial perspective and looking at the use of prime ag lands for these kinds of businesses, this would fall within those guidelines that are offered to us around the use of prime ag lands for these secondary uses. And again, a zoning amendment would follow and would be coming before your council for evaluation on these same parameters, exceeding the current size allotment for secondary farm occupations, and also would be subject to site plan control. And this one with the sawdust component, they are looking at the environmental compliance, the ECA approvals process with MOE, and being able or having the business, the size of the business, the scope of it recognized and officially allowed through the official plan and the subsequent zoning amendment would allow them to sort of start and engage in that ECA process. So one of the sort of existing criteria must be that it's permitted within the zone and the official plan. So that would, that process and the idea of enclosing some of the operations here would, I mean, it's all in an effort to improve the land use compatibility of the site, which has been an issue, and to address emissions of dust or odor. So official plan amendment is the first step in this process of going down that road of enclosure and controlling from an environmental perspective how this business operates. Again, there will be a public meeting about this on July the 7th at County Council that would address the official plan amendment, and looking for Perth East to share their interests and thoughts about this one for that process. And also then just a reminder that if approved there, then it would be coming back before your council as a zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay, questions from members of council? Jeremy?
First one is, what does ECA stand for, Sally?
Environmental compliance approval.
Okay.
It's an environmental evaluation of any emissions from the business, and in this case it'll be like noise, dust and noise and odor. That process can also consider like vibration and pests, that sort of thing, any environmental emission from the industrial use.
And they cannot go for that approval or that review until the OPA is recognizing it as a legal use.
Well, Melissa certainly knows better where they are at in this process, but they're not going to get very far along if the use that they're trying to get compliance approval for isn't even permitted by the zone or official plan.
Okay. Sorry, I have a couple questions, so I'm just gonna go through them with you while I've got you. So the original complaint went in last summer, I guess. That's what the report said. And we're looking to rectify it. I'm just curious why the timelines are what they are. Like, we're in June now. I don't know, what is that, 8 months later, at least 9 months later. Like these type of operations do exist throughout the municipality, where there's an illegal use, I'll call them, or the zoning isn't correct on it. It exists where a secondary farm occupation expands and we don't necessarily know about it. But is that normal that it would take this long to get it rectified? Like, it seems the fellow citing a health concern, and we've got 9 months to, even get the OPA in front of us. I'm kind of curious about that, like what the timelines were to get here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't been directly involved, but I've sort of been on the periphery, if you will. And there certainly were conversations being had between the neighbors, between the operators and the municipality, and then it was trying to come to a plan for how to resolve this. And from a legal perspective, I don't know where they're at with their negotiations, but from a land use planning perspective, this is sort of the first step, in my opinion, towards a land use compatibility resolution. And
Okay,
perhaps
so
there's other folks at Perth East that would know more about the history on the conversations that have taken place over the past 6 to 8 months.
So the OPA recommendation is in front of us. Let's say it gets approved at county. What's the timeline after that, when they have to come back for a ZBA and then building permit, presumably? If the neighbor still, has health concerns, I just want to make sure if this passes, that this goes through as quickly as possible and that stuff is enclosed as quickly as possible. I know I wasn't at the meeting when we did discuss this briefly. I know Daryl brought up a little bit about some concerns when I watched the meeting after the fact about those emissions and about the sawdust and the mold. But I'm just curious, like, where do we go from here, and what's the timeline to get that sort of rectified?
So if I could jump in through your worship, there is currently a building permit within the confines of our zoning bylaw that currently meets our zoning bylaw in Perth East regarding enclosing the sawdust area. So currently the building permit for that area of the building is strictly within the confines of the zoning bylaw. So that is being addressed by Perth East staff, and we are looking into the bigger elements regarding the OPA and the zoning bylaw amendment.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Wes. My last question, or more of a statement perhaps, is we did see something at one point about enclosing that debarking machine as well. And from what I've read, the debarking machine will actually cause a lot of mold when the bark is removed. I'm thinking that we should be asking them to enclose that debarking machine as well. It doesn't look like a large building we need to go around that, but I think that debarking machine could also be causing issues. And, if we're not asking them to do it now, they could do the ACA and it might say they need to do it anyways. But in my own opinion, I think we really need to ask them to enclose that entire operation. Anything that's any of that effluent that is traveling throughout the municipality that really shouldn't be.
Yeah, and again, Councillor Matheson, through your worship, we can definitely consider those things through the issuance of the building permit, and definitely consider them on the go forward. But it is something that we are addressing, and we're looking at the township level.
Okay. Daryl?
No, it's definitely complex. And yeah, I as well, I'll echo Councillor Matheson's concerns around the debarking machine. I as well, of course, it's quite a rigorous machine, and it's causing chips and flying and bark, and it's all happening there similar. And I as well noticed it's not enclosed. There was some talk, I believe, around the debarking machine, but No, thank you. It's definitely the CBA. That'll be an interesting component. It looks like we're doing everything we can and taking the time to do it right. But yes, at the end of the day, you know, we'd like to see things happen. I get it's complex. Thank you.
Jeremy?
Sorry, I'll finish my comments here, but as far as that enclosure goes then around the debarking machine, that isn't something that's being approved or discussed here necessarily tonight. We're talking about permitting that use, and then afterwards we'll be discussing that as the ZBA. Is that correct, Planner McMullen?
I'm just trying to find the reference here in Melissa's report, but my understanding from speaking with her and when I read the report for her, I just can't put my finger on it, was that the proposed amendment would get them to a place, a square meter area that they could enclose all the operations that are involved in the milling of the wood. And
Yeah, I don't think
my
I don't
understanding
think
was that it
the,
included the debarking section as well.
okay. I think the report tonight does not include the debarking machine, but I think we really need to ask for that, whether that's for tonight or for the next meeting. That's something that I think we need to push for. But thank you.
Okay, Andrew?
Thank you, Mariette. So the one concern that jumps out at me is we're going to increase the indoor space, and that's probably going to need to be heated at some point. And again, as the Councillor Matheson's comments, not sure when that time for that discussion is, but a large increase in wood burning in the area has also got negative effects on adjacent landowners who may be sensitive. So when would we discuss this? Is there going to be a site plan, or how much control will the proponent study that detail at that time? If it's going to change the amount of wintertime heating that's done most likely by wood scraps, right? So the question, I'm not sure whether that fits into our discussion tonight, or you want to just keep that idea forward for the county. Hope it's clear.
So if I can speak to that through your worship there to Councillor McAlpine, that is something we could speak about certainly on the go forward. I don't know that that's necessarily pertinent to tonight's discussion, but certainly if you would like to reach out to myself or other staff, we would be happy to discuss that on the go forward if that is okay with everyone.
Thank you. I'll do that, CVO, right? Thank you.
Okay, any more questions or comments? If not, we do have a motion. The Council of the Township of Perth East received a report entitled Official Plan Amendment Number 208 by Lena and Sydney Martin, affecting lands described as Concession 6, South part of Lot 15, Concession 5, part of Lot 15, Mornington Ward, 6870 Road 121 for information. And that Council endorsed the Official Plan Amendment 208 to the County of Perth Official Plan pertaining to the lands at Concession 6, South part of Lot 15, Concession 5, part of Lot 15, Mornington Ward, 6870 Road 121. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Sally. We'll now move to the CAO report, and that's masking requirements. Mike, the floor is yours.
Sorry about that. Struggling to find my unmute button. Just quickly as it relates to the report, we've trying to proceed cautiously as it relates to recent announcements, as it relates to masking in particular. It's covered in the recommendation, and certainly I'm here to answer questions if there are any, but we want to, I think, move forward and be consistent with what's happening across the province from a masking standpoint. We've discussed it at a management team level, and I've had conversations with a number of staff that I would say the majority are quite comfortable in making this step forward. So yeah, any questions I'm here to answer.
Okay, questions of the report? Jeremy?
The recommendation reads to suspend the policy. Do we have to repeal a bylaw as a result of that, or we're just, what's the difference between, repealing a bylaw that would enforce this policy versus suspending it? Like, is it easier to put back in, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, Councillor Matheson, to your comment, it really is because we're not 100% clear on what the future may hold. The intent is to suspend at this point. Hopefully, within a not too distant future, we'll be addressing all of the policies and repealing a number of bylaws at the same point. But this is, yeah, kind of an interim, I would say, or a quick address, and that's the reason we chose to use the term suspend as opposed to repealing the policy and the bylaw associated with it. So it allows it, if things were to change from public health standpoint or from the provincial regulations, it would be an easier return to the policy itself.
Okay, Amanda?
So I just have a question that it's indirectly related. So just when you were giving your comments about the other policies related, would that also include the vaccine policies for employees? The reason I ask is I know provincially OPS staff were required to show proof of vaccination, and it's now no longer mandatory for OPS staff. So I just wanted to mention that if there is a bigger look at everything, that is something that if we are aligning with provincial guidelines, that is something perhaps to look at as well. So just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, appreciate the comment, Councillor Broadhagen. Yeah, certainly we're, and myself specifically, paying attention to what's happening in other sectors and across the province and with our neighbors. So yeah, we are paying close attention, and yeah, I am aware of what you've indicated as well, that in some places mandatory vaccination requirements are changing rapidly.
Okay, anyone else with questions? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East received a report entitled COVID-19 Masking Requirements dated June 21, 2022, prepared by the Chief Administrative Officer for information, and that Council acknowledge recent changes within the province of Ontario in relation to masking requirements and suspend policy 15.7 COVID-19 public access to municipal facilities. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Amanda, second by Jeremy. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have nothing from the clerk. We have a year-to-date budget report from finance. Paula, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Council will be aware that the year-to-date reports through June 15th were included in your package for your review. The CAO, myself, and managers have gone through the report and the year-to-date expenses and noted anything that's out of the norm from the benchmarks. You'll note that we should be running about 42% to 50%. The water and sewer is about 50% right now. And most items were within those ranges. The main thing that's across the board is the fuel and the heat expenses, and that's mainly due to the increased prices right now. So we're closely monitoring that and trying to adjust for any overages that we might experience in those line items. So if there's any questions, I can try and answer them.
Okay, thanks, Paula. Any questions? No questions, okay. The Council of the Township of Perth East received a report prepared by the treasurer dated June 21, 2022, entitled Year-to-Date Budget Report for Information. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Andrew. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll move to Public Works. We have tender results for pickup trucks. Wes, the floor is yours.
The results for a couple of pickup trucks, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for Wes? No questions. We have a motion. The Council of the Township of Perth East received the report entitled Tender Results, PW-2022-04, Supply of Pickup Trucks dated June 21, 2022, prepared by the Manager of Public Works and Parks for information, and it confirmed by this resolution, tender PW-2022-04 for the supply of 2022 or newer half-ton pickup trucks be awarded to Oxford Dodge Chrysler 1992 Limited for the tendered price of $99,798 exclusive of HST. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Terry, second by Carol. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we have nothing from building, fire. We have the tender and E2 evaluation results. Bill, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Mayor and Council. Tonight's report deals with the tender and the E2 evaluation results. As Council can see in the report, we did receive 2 tender submissions to supply 3 full sets of battery-operated extrication tools, 1 set for each of the 3 stations. The 2 companies that submitted proposals each attended a hands-on evaluation session locally, and the committee evaluated their tools based on several categories. The evaluation committee is unanimously recommending that we accept the bid from Municipal Emergency Services. Their tools definitely will meet our needs and are the most cost-effective option, considering all factors, acquisition, maintenance, and life cycle. And just a reminder for council that the entire cost of the tools is being covered by the 3 firefighter associations through donations that they've been raising over the last couple of years. And I'd gladly try and answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Any questions on this report? Andrew?
No, thanks, Chief Hunter. That's great news. They're going to get those tools. I think something's laying out in the middle of the field is a lot easier to use. I just noticed one department's hasn't done as much fundraising. I'm sure it's going well. So how will that work out with the money? Will they be topped up, or it's a actual amount going to each one the same amount, or just
so yeah, the intent, Councillor McAlpine, is the municipality will purchase all 3 sets of tools, and then each of the 3 associations will reimburse the municipality the same amount. The plan is that the reimbursement would be completed by the end of the year. That would give Milverton time to raise the rest of the money that they need to raise. Sebringville has completed their fundraising, and I believe Shakespeare is very close. But the plan is to have everything wrapped up by the end of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? If not, we do have a motion. The Council of the Township of Perth East received the report entitled Tender and E2 Evaluation Results dated June 21, 2022, as prepared by the Fire Chief for information, and that Council approve awarding the tender to the Municipal Emergency Services, and that the Fire Chief proceed with the immediate acquisition of the tools. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Jeremy. Second by Amanda, sorry. Any more comments or questions? Jerry?
So I'm not sure the date of the writing of the report that Chief Hunter did, but I can speak to Melverton, and we're almost at $45,000 raised. There's no doubt we'll have that by the end of the year.
Okay, anyone else? If not, all in favor? Carried.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, well now, where are we? Move to correspondence. We have two items of correspondence. The first one is from Mr. Arnott, and he's asking about left turn lanes on Road 107, which is a county road. So just, do you want to send this on to the county, or do you want to just receive it for information? Andrew?
Oh, my temptation is to receive it for information. The Sackville is down near the lumber, and that's a highway. So I'm not sure if the two are connected or they're separate items. Does anybody from staff, I haven't had a chance to speak to the requester about it, but it seems to be there's two items here.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the one. Yeah, the one is on line 34, which you're correct, is an MTO road, and this is on 107, which is a county road.
Now, I know, Mayor Eggets, at the time of the building MPP, the previous MPP had said that, it was going to be a labor-like situation, and they did a really good job building it up. So I don't think that was ever in the cards, especially probably from the MTO perspective of putting in anything on there. But yeah, I'm going to leave it to the rest of council to decide what to do on this.
Who wants to do what with this piece of correspondence? Amanda?
So I say we receive for information. And it would be great if we had a staff member that could reach out to this individual, just to explain, because I think, there is a lot of ratepayers that don't necessarily understand which roads are what. And so I just think out of a courtesy, that just to acknowledge that, their inquiry and just explain that. I think that would be my recommendation.
Okay, so Amanda's moving. Do we have a seconder to receive it for information? Moved by, second by Andrew. So the motion is the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the correspondence from Albert Arnott received June 13, 2022 regarding the requirements for a westbound left turn lane from Sackville Street onto line 34 and left turn arrows on Road 107 turning onto line 34 in Shakespeare for information. So it's moved by Amanda, second by Andrew. Any more comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, and the second piece of correspondence that we have in our package is a letter that we received from Knowcrest Lodge. And it is in regards to, and for council members, maybe I'll let Eric speak to this first and then we'll go from there. Eric?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Eggets. So we did try to follow up with Sarah Tootie from Knowcrest Lodge in the last 2 days leading up to the council meeting, and staff have been unsuccessful in reaching them to determine whether the letter is asking for forgiveness of the entire loan or an extension of 1 year on the loan. And then I know that Mike has some history regarding the loan as well.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
I saw Councillor Smith's hand up. He can maybe provide some clarity as opposed to me rambling on here. So I'll pass the floor over.
Jared?
So from what I understand, they're looking for forgiveness for what's left. But I would suggest that we could probably refer this to our budget visioning session of the July 12th. I know that they approached us for help with the new pavilion, and I don't think we offered anything for that. So I'd like to be able to do something. So I would like to see we take it to the budget visioning, and perhaps in the meantime, maybe the CAO could get more information. Maybe reach out to them and say, hey, you know, are you really want the entirety entire loan, or can we do a certain amount or an extension? But I think we could refer it to our budget visioning session.
Okay, Daryl?
Yeah, it's interesting. I read through it there as well. And yeah, I was kind of wondering myself, yeah, it looks like they want forgiveness, which I'm definitely not in favor of a full forgiveness. Far as, you know, the pinch of COVID-19, how big a list do we want? Interesting for sure. I still question how this all came out. Of course, it's a long time ago, and what kind of policy or how this happened that they got this loan, but it's interesting. It's complex. If it goes to budget visioning, I think it should have two options for sure. One including potential extension or potential elimination, and we talk about it in depth. Those are my comments.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, no one else. So what do you want to do with this? Gary?
So I like to refer it to our budget visioning session, July 12th. And if I may, perhaps when staff brings that back, that we do have the history for Councillor Hurlick's information and everyone else. You know, we've done over the past 14 years ago, or some dozen years ago or so, the loan was granted at interest-free for revitalization. So we get all that history. Yeah. And I do know they're looking at a roof replacement that's in the amount of more than 2 million, less than 3 million. So yeah, vision session. Thank you.
Okay, so I have motion that the council of the township, maybe I'll get the seconder first. So Gary's asking for it to receive it for information and refer to the budget visioning. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Amanda? Okay, so now I'll read the motion, then we'll ask if there's anyone else that has comments. So the council of the Township of Perth East received the correspondence from Sarah Toody, Chief Executive Officer, No Crest Lodge, received June 15, 2022 regarding the outstanding balance on the loan received from the Township of Perth East for information, and that it be referred to the budget visiting session. Anyone else have any? Andrew?
I don't want to change a motion, but are we going to expect to see, like Councillor Hurlick said, the policy that was guiding this initial, you know, and maybe the agreement, if there was an agreement, if we could see that, please, when we discuss it again. Assuming there was an agreement, I don't know if there was or not, but it might be nice to have as much information as possible. It's tucked around the corner. I know it was when I was on in 2010, so yeah, it's been kicking around for a long time. I have some concerns that we have other long-term care facilities in the township and optics on this. Though great institution, we definitely have to be spending the taxpayers' money wisely. So if we can have that other information, I'm assuming it's going to be there, but just to throw that out there.
Yes, staff have been digging information, and like they said, they have been trying to get a hold of them as well, and we're unsuccessful. So they will keep digging and hopefully can find the information of how this all came about and what's going on with it, and bring it back to the budget visioning session. Okay, anyone else have anything they wish to add? Everyone in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay, we will now move to council and committee reports. I don't have anything to report. Does anyone else at this time have anything they wish to report on? Nope. Okay. We don't have any bylaws, which is unusual. We do not have a closed session. Do we have any notice of motions? No notice of motions? Any new business? Any announcements? Jeremy?
Yeah, just a quick one. There's a small community group organizing an event at the new Park Pavilion this weekend. So if you have some old boxes of sports cards, hobby cards, Pokemon cards, Hugh, I know you were into Pokemon cards there. If you have anything like that, we're getting a group of people together to have a little day down there where kids can come out and trade their hockey cards and their Pokemon cards or whatever in the new Park Pavilion. So even if you just want to come check the pavilion out, it's on Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Anyone else have any announcements? No? Okay, then we do have the confirmatory bylaw, that bylaw 32-2022, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on June 21, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time. We have a mover and a seconder for that, moved by Jeremy, second by Daryl. All in favor? Carried. And then we have a motion that the meeting of the council be adjourned at 8:15. Moved by Andrew. Second by Daryl. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everyone. Good night. Great night. I hope you're all